Cyndi, congratulations on your Broadway debut as a musical composer.
Thank you.
Harvey, still here?
You can congratulate me on my debut. It always feels like the first time.
You see? He keeps it interesting. I'm very lucky to have been. He called me up one day. I was washing the dishes and I finished. And he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Nothing." And that's how it started.
Yeah. So Kinky Boots, it's a story for folks in the audience who haven't seen it yet. It's about a young British man who inherits a struggling shoe factory in England and who, through some twists of fate, meets a drag queen who gives him a new design idea and becomes ultimately his business partner. It's also based on a movie that came out in 2005.
I mean, what's wonderful is that we put together this team that are all at the top of their game in this. I mean, it's a marriage of all of us. The hardest thing to work with is somebody who doesn't know what they want.
Right.
You can't make somebody who doesn't know what they want happy. But she's very specific. From day one, she walked in and said, "I ain't having none of that Broadway sound. They're gonna drive me out of the theater with that Broadway sound. This is what I want, and the music's gonna sit here, and it's gonna do this." And she was saying, push this by 1 point, push that point. She knows what she's talking about. It's a pleasure to work with somebody who knows what they're talking about.
But you want to know what I said, though, honestly? What I said was, and this is why I think it could be fixed.
Patrick made that
Anybody, well, you get look, you put a sound around a voice, right? Because we do it in records all the time, but we don't just do it in records. When you go to a concert and you hear music, they're doing it there too. It's called a compressor limiter, right? And you can also, with a machine, make delayed reverb, which creates a sound around the voice, which gives you articulation and you can sync the voice then into the music a little without losing articulation. You hear the bottom of the person's voice, because you don't want to just hear the top of their voice so they cut through. You want to hear the whole voice, and you want to hear the warmth of the music. If it's inviting and warm like that, who wouldn't want to go see that? Because it doesn't make your skin crawl, you know.
Well said.
Why, did I say that wrong?
No, you said it right. They applauded. Take the applause and move on.
Harvey, Cyndi, what was the first song, if you remember, that you wrote for Kinky Boots? And talk a little bit about how you tried to get into it, your way into it.
Well, because I didn't know what the rules were, and I kept asking him, he said, "There are no rules, don't worry about it. I want a song called The Most Beautiful Thing. The father has to sing in the first verse.
It's the first song of the show.
It's the opening number, and little Lola is gonna sing, and then the fiance is gonna sing, and you know everybody. So I was thinking, okay, and then I started thinking, okay. I went back and listened to all my favorite musicals. I also took all the things I like my mother always listened to Rachmaninoff, you know, dun 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 dun, right? It was always very dramatic. So I thought that The Most Beautiful Thing should have a little Rachmaninoff in there. So I put, and the defining element is in these shoes, you know, and then he said they have to, that the shoes have to have a sound. So I was thinking, a harp. Every time you see a great pair of shoes, a harp from heaven should come down. Because, you know, if you like shoes, I like shoes. And I understand, you know, it was a lot of stuff that pulled me to this story. You know, the fashion alone, I love fashion. I love shoes, I'm not a Melga Marcos. But I started to put it together like that in unorthodox ways. And I think still on my iPhone somewhere, I think I have the voice memo of Nicola. How do you say her name? Is that her name, Nicola? Doesn't matter. I don't know how to say it. The fiance. Huh. And I have her melody. But I thought she was very Billy Joel. Yeah. To me.
That's how she'd sound.
Well, she wasn't really. Okay. Because in the end, the melody that I sang.
So all of this, she takes all of this thinking, and I don't know how, because I would probably die. She somehow mixes all of this up, and out comes a song that's very cohesive, as you've heard it, that tells the story in an opening number of each one of these characters defined by shoes. The audience totally gets it. they hear each one of those individual voices as an individual voice, and it's wonderful. But how it comes from that to this.
Well, and Harvey,
Wait, you know
Yep.
what? Lola, remember, well, some of you who are my age and older remember Buster Brown's shoes. And remember, look in the telephone book for the boy who sells the shoe with the picture of the boy and the dog inside. And inside the shoe, it would come to life. Right? So I figured, wow, that's
have
Lola.
a boy inside one of the funny
Right,
place
for a boy to hide, yeah.
My shoe have a dog there too.
A boy and a dog and a foot and a shoe. Yeah. See? But that's what I was thinking Lola would feel about the shoe.
Yeah.
I know you think I'm crazy. That's why I don't really
I don't
tell
think
anybody.
that. I know it.
what did you find to be, to sort of discover along the way as the main differences between writing for musical theater and writing your songs? Were there any, or were there actually not so many?
Well, I didn't think it was as rigid in musical theater as it is in writing albums. Sometimes, even though you just pulling it out of the air, sometimes you still have to come back, even if you think you have wonderful poetry, when somebody says, yeah, what does that mean? Here, listen to this. And it's really, the lyrics aren't so great. Whereas I was thinking, okay, go listen to some great lyrics. And I listened to Rodgers and Hammerstein, you know, like a song like You've Got to Be Taught. Or you listen to West Side Story and know that the guys that were writing that musical were gay. And they lived a closeted life. And when you hear, there's a place for us, somewhere, a place for us, it's the saddest thing, because it is like Romeo and Juliet. It's like, it's the forbidden love. And I just kept listening to those kind of inspirations and funny things, and the rock thing. I don't know, that's why I guess it wasn't that odd, because I don't know what I'm doing, I'm just doing it.
It's natural.
I guess if I had to sit and think about it, I would be worried and upset.
That's why and that's why the second one is always the hardest.
I guess so.
Because you go back the next time and you go, how did I do that?
I do that. When each of you started writing early on, what sort of things captured your imagination when you'd write stories?
I've always felt that in every song there's a story, and I never felt I could write a book or be part of anything like that, because I never really finished my homework. So, and I couldn't finish a test, so I just felt like, honestly, I felt like I was just really stupid, or there was some screw that wasn't there. And because of that, I got to live a really magical existence, because I didn't think it was worth trying to fit in with people who, you know, felt that I was weird anyway. So I started to notice other things. I started to look at everything different. I started to imagine what it was like to live in Flowers. I would listen to the musicals and become them, you know? I would just be, I was Barbara Streisand for a while, although she doesn't realize it, how close we were, but you know. And then when I realized that I could be a singer like I always wanted, because I was an art major too, and the term paper happened and it didn't, so that didn't work out for me. So then I just joined a band, and one thing led to another. But when you write a song, the song has to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And when you sing it, it's a character telling a story. And more times than none, every story that I told was about the people that I grew up watching, whether it was my mother or my grandmother or the lady down the block that dyed her hair and looked like Diane Carroll, or the lady down the block who never had a boyfriend, was tall, skinny, and very kind of plain. And all the people, all the different kind of people, although I was always attracted to the outcast, you know, because I kind of was out there. And I think that I was blessed, because had I been accepted and normal, I probably wouldn't have learned to listen to music as intently as I did.
And you probably would have starved.
That's true, because that receptionist job didn't work out for me either. No.